Gotta find my corner of the sky. Everything has its season, everything has its time. Show me your reason and I'll soon show you a rhyme. Cast it on the windowsill, children fit in the snow. Why do I feel I don't fit in anywhere I go? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can be free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Every man has his dreams. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Center Stage with Michael Cagle. Yes, that's right. If you're listening, you're at the right place. That's so funny. Anyway, I want to thank that amazing singer for opening up that song, the show with that song for us. I don't know who he is, but no. Anyway, I'm just joking. Anyway, it's good to have you guys here. This is Taking Center Stage with me, Michael Cagle, and I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, World Movement Records, and I Am Indie for allowing me to take advantage of this amazing opportunity. And we are just going to have a blast. As those of you who have already listened to the show a couple times, you know that pretty much anything can happen, and we just have really great, fun guests who just, we just want them to feel comfortable and just have a blast. And today's special guest is a very good friend of mine. I know, and I say that all the time, most of my guests have been my friends so far, but what can I say? I have incredibly talented and gifted friends that are very much involved in the entertainment industry, music business, all that kind of stuff. So I never run out of guests because I don't run out of talented friends. They are ridiculously good. And today's guest goes along with that. I think he thought I was going to joke and say something, but I was not. He's a great, good friend of mine. He is a producer. He's a record label CEO, and not only does he have a great karaoke business in the Seattle area, he's probably one of the most popular karaoke hosts in the Seattle area, and he's won several awards for just being a good host. And for those of you who don't think that's a hard job, it really, really is a hard job. Everybody, please make welcome Mr. Jimi Flaherty. Woo!
Hello, Michael.
Hey, you're a little hard to hear.
Oh, I'm a little hard to hear. Okay. How's that?
That was worse.
Okay. Hang on. You know, it's that whole microphone thing.
It is.
Let's see.
I know you have several at your house, though.
Right. None of which I'm using at the moment.
Right.
Is that better?
So how are you, sir?
I am doing fine.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on. It's kind of a twofold reason. One is you're just an outstanding guest, and you're really good at what you do. But secondly, I have all three of my current holiday releases out now. They all kind of debuted this last week, and they're doing surprisingly well. I'm pretty excited, and
Good.
I have to say that they wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for you. Jimi and his production studios, Seattle Sound Productions, actually I went in to have him produce and work on the tracks and make the tracks, and the experience was outstanding, and your work was so good. I just am really absolutely thrilled. Each song has a special meaning to me. Each song is a little bit different, and you were terrific to work with. So, yeah, I thought, why not tie you in with the releases? And but why don't we get people to know a little bit about you? Why don't you share a little bit about who you are and how you got into, well, literally a little bit of all the music business. I think you've performed, you wrote plays, you've have a sound studio, you produce music, you have the list is tremendous. How'd you get started?
Well, Mom bought a piano when I was 5. That's when it started.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I've been playing, well, yeah, am I going to date myself? How many years is that? That's a lot of years. Anyway, I opened my first recording studio in 1991 over in Spokane. And, boy, I was really just learning the ropes back then. It was a big 5,000 square foot studio space, which I also lived in. But that studio went belly up about 2 years later, because that's when the PC became a big thing, and everybody thought, well, we can make our own records. So a lot of hardware went bye-bye after that. But then I kind of took a few years off and moved to Seattle in 2003, and decided to start getting back into it. It took me a little while, but here we are today in a very small, basically solo artist type studio atmosphere. Right now it's just one room, but yeah, we just go, and hopefully we can keep the room booked, because it's a cheap roommate if nothing else.
Right. Well,
right.
Do you think
doesn't make much of a mess?
Right. Do you think that how different is it to be doing music in 2000? Wow, the 2020s as it was in 91.
Well, linearly, as far as recording vocals and instruments, real instruments, it's basically the same. Only we're dealing with what we call a computer DAW, which is basically an interface, rather than tape transports. And then, of course, in my realm, since I'm a keyboardist, we used to do everything by MIDI, which a lot of people still do. I don't believe in that anymore. So everything's, I guess, even though we're in the 21st century, from my aspect, things are actually less digital feeling than they were back in the 90s, because it's not so robotic, which is something that MIDI tends to do to an artist.
Interesting.
So yeah, but as far as mics and how to set up gear and how to patch things in, nothing's really changed. I mean, it's all basically the same.
That's cool. Is there a certain style of music that you like creating for the artists that come in, or are you kind of just rounded and take everything, rock or disco or disco? Wow, really? Who does
pretty
disco?
much? I've done disco, in fact. Yeah, I was a nightclub DJ for many years, so that's kind of my bedrock. But I don't do a lot of production of that kind of music, dance music even anymore. But yeah, our friend Haley Howell, who passed a few years ago, one of the tracks on her album was a disco track. So
I think disco will make a comeback. Yes, it will. I don't.
It never died.
It never died. It's just It's hiding out in the closet somewhere.
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's a good way to put it.
So huh?
No, I was just going to say, so yeah, as far as genres are concerned, there's really nothing I won't do. Hell, I've done a lot of rap tracks in the studio. And I'll tell you, the first time I had a rap artist in the studio, I was really nervous. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've never produced a rap track in my life. But he came back and, God, he must have recorded over 100 songs in the studio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He moved to California a few years ago. But
all right. So is there? What do you do when somebody comes in? You know, well, obviously, I kind of know because I had the opportunity to work with you, and it was a terrific experience. But I'm going to pretend like I don't know what you do, and when an artist comes in, and do they come in with a pretty set idea of what they want to do, or do they also come to you with hoping that you can give them some suggestions, or how does that process work?
It's both ways. So as a producer and arranger of music, because there are different types of production, but so we'll use both of those terms. A lot of times what will happen with an artist is they'll bring in what we call a scratch track, something that they've referenced that they don't have the rights to use. So they build their song around something that somebody else wrote. And then what I do is I strip that track out and build something totally new. And a lot of times they will have something really set in their mind, and other times they'll say, have at it. And if I don't like something, I'll let you know. So that's, even with your recording, we sort of went through that on Oh Holy Night. We picked a style of an arrangement, and it's a very tedious process, taking something from scratch and trying to make something of it, especially, when it's not yours. As a songwriter, I think it's easier to develop an arrangement for yourself than it is for somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought it was really kind of cool, because normally what happens is, as a singer, you're handed a track or something, and then you build your vocals around the track, in the studio. But, with Oh Holy Night, it was kind of the reverse. You just I know you kind of let me go in the studio and said, here's kind of a clip track. Now sing it the way you want to do it. And you built the track around my voice, even to the last day when we did it, because we didn't even have, we didn't have the ending completed. And so the ending we just kind of created on the spot. It was amazing. The experience was so incredible, because I felt, as an artist, it's so hard sometimes to be able to say, this is what's in my head and this is what I want to do. I don't really know how to go about it. And to have someone step in, and you did, it was amazing. And you just stepped in and just created something around me. And it actually felt like a project that I was actually doing. And that was awesome,
Yeah, and that's always the goal. I occasionally will work in the studio without an artist, especially if we're on a deadline, as you know. But I prefer, even after tracks are laid, even though they're just scratch tracks, I prefer to have the artist in the room while the arranging is happening. just to keep them engaged and so that they always feel like they have their artistic input on it. So it's not just me, it's them as well. They'll hear something they like and they'll say, yes, let's do that, or something that they don't like and they'll go, oh no, don't, let's not go down that road. So
right.
And it also, in the long run, it saves a lot of headache and turmoil, you know. And I've had artists, you know, come to me and they say, oh, just do whatever you want to do. I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. And then, you know, I'll spend, you know, 6 hours on something, and they'll come back and go, yeah, no, that's not where I want to go. I'm like, yeah, see, that's all wasted time now. So
yeah.
You're saving money, you're saving a headache, and also, you know, a relationship in the long run, because you don't ever want to find yourself in a situation where, yeah, we just didn't go the right direction. So.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that my experience with you is that you were incredibly engaging, because we don't live in the same town. I live a distance away from you and drove to the studio,
yeah.
but I never felt like I wasn't part of the process. You constantly communicated with me, gave me samples, and what do you think of this? And
yeah.
it just, I can't imagine working with anybody else. The experience was so incredible. I just felt so totally engaged in every step of the process. Even while I was just sitting listening to you, you know, putting stuff together, I just really, that was amazing. So I really encourage everybody to look him up. Do you have a website?
Actually, no. We lost our domain in the middle of the pandemic because we couldn't afford to pay to upkeep it. So,
right.
and then the company that was hosting the website basically took my domain name, SeattleSoundProductions.com, and then wanted me to pay $600. So basically, they held it ransom, and I just told them to screw off.
Oh, wow.
So now our presence is all on Facebook.
Okay.
I need to work on my social media, but
you do. I mean,
as we're older, as we get older, we get stubborn. So yeah. But
the thing is that, you know, I have gladly and proudly touted, you know, that I've worked with you, and
mm-hmm.
you know, you produced it just came out so amazing, and everybody, it's so funny because everybody has their favorite song that I've released, but
mm-hmm.
everybody always seems to be drawn to Oh Holy Night, which makes me really happy, because I think, you know, I went into the studio with a song. I knew that I wanted to do 3 songs, and so one of them was original, and one was a cover of a contemporary song, and then one was a traditional, which was the Oh Holy Night. But I've always wanted to sing that song, and I remember the first time that I heard it, I was like, that is just an amazing, just a gorgeous piece of music. And whether you're religious or not, it's such a captivating song and so sweeping and dramatic. And I just had it in my head, and to have it come to life, it was just ridiculously awesome, and everybody likes it. I've gotten some comments of, it's a little bit more stylized than we want, and I'm like, well, have you ever heard me sing? But
there is that holding back Michael Cagle can be no,
right?
No, trust me, folks, it's not a thing.
No, it isn't. So, but I'm trying to figure out a way. I guess what I'm going to do is just every now and then, how does someone, and we'll slow this down a little bit, how does someone get a hold of you if they want to get in your studio? And by the way, everybody, seriously, if you want a really good, thorough person, he was amazing. What is your studio number?
The studio number, that's a really good question. Yeah, it's 253. I never call myself. 253-392-5572.
What? Okay, we'll do that one again.
253-392-5572.
Okay. Now, do you have an email?
But
you do have an email, huh? You do have an email address, right, for the studio?
Yes. Yeah. It's actually all under me. Hell, I have a hard enough time keeping up with my own email and all the social media every day. If I had a separate email address for the studio, I'd go nuts. Because I'm a one-man operation here. So anyway, email is flahertyjames@comcast.net. So that's FLAHERTY James, all one word, at comcast.net. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome.
Social media is also good, but I don't always see messages from people who I'm not friends with. Get a lot of spam on Facebook, so.
Right.
It's hard to,
here's what I'm going to do.
Get through all that.
I'm going to play Oh Holy Night, and that way if you need to run off and get some coffee, you have about 4 minutes to do that. I'm going to play the track, and this is, like I said, this was my baby. All my songs are my babies, but this one was one that I've wanted to do since I was super young, and so I've
always wanted to produce it, so there it is.
Isn't that awesome? That is so cool,
Yeah.
and boy, did you do a hell of a job. All right, everybody, this is Oh Holy Night. We're going to bring Jimi back in just a couple minutes, but we're going to play the track for you here in right now.
All right. Congratulations, Michael.
Oh no, yeah, I can never thank you enough for doing that. It was so powerful and so meaningful to have that on a bucket list, and to know I was working with someone that understood how important it was and really went the extra mile. I will forever be grateful, and you were amazing. You definitely are in your element. It was magic working with you. So I just, like I said, I will forever be promoting you, and just outstanding. And like I said, everybody, that track was created by him around me and not the other way around. And that takes a serious, knowledgeable artist and producer to have the confidence to say, lay down your vocals and then I will build it around you. And that was outstanding. And it just, I will forever be grateful. It really was just a dream come true. So thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it was definitely an honor to work with the infamous Michael Cagle. After all these years that we've known each other, probably tell the story the first time you and I got into the recording studio when I was in Seattle, and decided we should not record together.
when we unleashed our two cats in
a trash can is what it sounded like. It was.
It was. That one was rough.
I think it was because we were both trying to be Elton John, and it was not. Elton John was not.
It was a little. Yeah, that one was a little rough, but
it was funny though. But we've gone on to sing together on stage a few times and in live performances, and it's been fun.
It is,
actually.
and
we've learned how to sing with each other.
We have. You are. It's not a surprise that you're as good a producer in the studio, because even singing with you live, you bring out the best. Like you just relax somebody, and then they just want to elevate their game, and really it's just you have. And I think sliding into the next thing, you have been hosting karaoke for, well, God knows how long.
Yeah, my first karaoke show was in 1989.
Did they have karaoke back then?
Yeah, it was a totally different world. We had it was all done on cassettes. Remember those little tiny tape things that we had? And the lyrics were printed on paper, and how anybody ever read those tiny lyrics, I'll never know. But yeah, and a karaoke book in those days was called a menu. And if you had 25 or 30 karaoke songs in 1989, boy, you had a big library.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't officially go into the karaoke business until, it was around 2000, right before, 2000. So, and then I moved to Seattle. During that period of time, I didn't have a recording studio. So I moved to Seattle, tried to get into the karaoke scene up here as a business. Boy, that was tough to break into up in Seattle. Finally got in at a couple places, and then I moved down to Federal Way, and we're down here now just making bucks, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and you just celebrated, I will say, you celebrated your 7th anniversary last night, which is seriously outstanding. You celebrated your 7th anniversary at the Sandbar, and
we've been there 7 years.
That's just wild.
Yeah.
Not only, that's a testament to the kind of show you put on, in all honesty, because karaoke people are fickle.
They can either be really fickle or really don't care. and we take them all,
Yeah, but I mean, once again, it and I can't stress this enough, and I'm not trying to over-compliment you, but the amount of care that you put into your shows is the reason why people go to them. Like, you're all about making sure the singer sounds good and that they're comfortable and that, their experience on stage is as important as the people that are listening. And so, the lights and the sound and everything, it's everybody feels, because not everybody, let's be honest, not everybody's going to, have the time and the energy to, do a show or perform on stage, but, you give them 4 minutes of an opportunity, a 4-minute opportunity to be a star, to get up there and feel comfortable and just entertain. And it's important. And you treat everybody like they are important, like they deserve the best sound. They deserve the best lights. And that's, in all honesty. Go ahead.
As karaoke, because you've been a karaoke host yourself, it can sometimes be, I can't say the word because I'm on the radio, but a blank show. And
a shit show.
So
we're PG-13, so we can say shit.
Okay, good. All right, so it can sometimes be a shit show. So you so why not take the extra investment in both my time and my equipment to make sure that it's not a terrible shit show, but at least something that's enjoyable. So you give somebody a great microphone and a decent sound system, and combine that with a good engineer, and you can make anybody sound halfway decent. So karaoke doesn't have to be painful.
No.
So that's I try to treat it with as much respect as I do in the studio. I want it to be as perfect as possible. Sometimes you just have to throw your hands up in the air and walk away. But
are you surprised at the longevity of karaoke? I mean, a lot of people were talking, when it really started kicking in, and of course they were laser discs at one time, and but a lot of people were like, this is kind of a fad. It's it's not really good. Are you surprised that literally 20 years later or whatever, it's
30 years by my calendar? Yeah. I'm actually surprised that it got off the ground as much as it did. I think by the time the mid 90s, maybe early 2000s hit, and it was pretty much everywhere, I think that's probably when I stopped saying this is a fad, because it was literally everywhere, and it is now. Surprisingly, there are some cities where you'd think there'd be a ton of karaoke. There isn't, like L.A., for example. I was down there a few years ago when I auditioned for The Voice, and we found 2 karaoke bars in all of greater, main LA, and it was like, what in the actual hell is going on? Either they don't advertise, well, I don't know, but we only found 2 spots, and they were both pretty horrible.
Yeah. Well, I think probably like LA, just like New York, is probably considered more of a live live venues with piano bars or that kind of thing. Because unfortunately, the sad thing is that there is such a stigma to the word karaoke to some people.
Oh, yeah.
Because their immediate response is, okay, drunk singers sing, slobbering all over microphones, singing out of tune, and they don't realize, there are incredible people that will never ever tour, never ever record, never ever do shows that have the most amazing voices, and they just love to sing. And this is a place for them to shake off all of the week's worth of drama and stress and work, and they get to just do something that they love. And there's great singers out there, outstanding, where you just, I still am dumbfounded by the amount of talent, because I'm like you, I've been doing this a while, and, I've been really blessed to have performed all over the country. And it never ceases to amaze me how much undiscovered talent is out there. And just for that alone, I can't see karaoke ever dying, because people need, it's not a matter of someone singing out of tune, because some people are so terrible it's worth going, because I either love the super amazing singers where my jaw just hits the floor and I'm like, wow, that was unbelievable experience, or I love the absolutely terrible ones that have no clue. They have no clue how awful they are. And,
I think it's even better when they do know how terrible they are and they just own it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So, do you see how long do you think the wheels on karaoke are going to keep rolling?
I think the wheels on karaoke will keep going as long as it doesn't try to automate itself. And there have been a few people who have tried automating the experience. And I think the second that happens and it becomes a real thing, that'll be the death knell of karaoke.
Really?
Because then you're taking the host out of the picture, and you have to, karaoke requires some leadership. You need somebody. Yeah, you need somebody on that mic to be the MC and say, "Give it up for blah blah blah," or tell a joke. Make fun of somebody's shoes, or a machine is never going to do that.
Right.
And
let's face it, some people will get up and sing at karaoke and they'll suck the energy out of the room, or it is just like it. You need that person to get the momentum back up if it does sag. It is definitely something that requires interaction with someone that is running the whole thing. You need that through line. I completely agree.
Yeah, and you have to be able to drive the energy, especially on the nights when you have the dreaded funeral march, per se, where you've got 3 hours of everybody singing sad, sappy songs. and at that time, you just got to go up to the bartender and say, "You got a gun?" No. I love my job, but not tonight. Oh, God, no, this is sad. But, we have to take the good with the bad in this industry. Fortunately, it's 95% good and 5% bad for me. Anyway.
All right. I do have a serious question for you, because you were someone that seemed to be able to rebound. Obviously we had our own karaoke company, and we weren't nearly as busy as you were, but then the pandemic hit, and of course, it was, I think karaoke shows were the big bold target that everybody was going after, because of shared microphones and all that stuff. And of course, our karaoke business kind of just, I hate to say it, is kind of, except for, weddings and special events and that kind of thing, we're not regular doing gigs anymore. But how did you weather it? Because now you're up, and like I said, you're celebrating your 7th year. You had, I think I read that you had 28 people in your rotation before you even started.
Last night. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's
nuts on Thursday. Yeah.
How did you not only survive through the pandemic to keep the business alive, but how did you keep the interest alive so that when restrictions kind of fell loosened up, that kind of thing, how did you revive it? Because there was a period of time, obviously, that nobody was doing karaoke; it just wasn't allowed.
Right.
And
right.
So, share with me your pandemic experience.
Well, it was terrible. Number one,
Okay.
we thought, I think it was, the 16th of March or something that year. I was at a gig, actually. In fact, we were at a place called Bourbon Jacks in Auburn, and we were doing an entertainer spotlight with a fellow by the name of Buck, and I got the phone call from my mom. She says, "Yeah, you guys are going to be closed down tomorrow." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, this COVID thing hit, and they're shutting down all bars and restaurants." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." So I thought, a week or two, maybe. Yeah, that turned into 18 months.
Yeah.
And it destroyed my business, damn near. I mean, I was actually to the point before I was able to get any of the government assistance, which took a year, almost a year to get for me. Actually, no, it was 8 months. But anyway, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely here.
My phone is doing weird things. Anyway, yeah, it was. Hang on. Decline. It was a very. It was a hard time. I mean, we were on our way to adding 2 more venues. I'm a small purveyor, so we at that time we had 3 shows. We were getting ready to ramp up to 5, and
right.
That happened, and I would have been making bank. I mean, more money than I've ever made in my life at that time. Had that happened, and to go from that to 0 and have nothing through all that, if it wasn't for what I had going on in the studio, and we also did some at-home private karaoke parties, safely, of course, as safely as possible.
Right.
That helped, but I'm not honestly sure, how now that I look back at it, how we ever did survive, because it was a long time. Yeah, it was tough. And, we're only back to about half capacity now, as far as my business is concerned. We were a little slow on the uptake, coming back and trying to grab venues. Number one, because I didn't want to go in and grab somebody else's deal. Places where I knew I had karaoke, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, because I knew people had to get back to work, and wherever they were at was, hopefully they were going to be able to go back to where they were. And that didn't always happen. We lost 2 venues. I was down to just the Sandbar when we came back a year ago, August. So fortunately, I was lucky enough to have those owners, so that helped me out a lot. Getting rebuilt. Now we have another venue in Kent called the In Between Pub, which is a fun, younger crowd, hosted by Galen and David A. So those guys do it.
And that's a fun show. Obviously,
yeah, it is. It's a totally
Galen,
different type of show that we get from
right.
But
yeah, it is, and it's Galen's my brother, so
yeah,
and he's a great host. But it's a very fun. That's a really fun venue to go to, and I think that's one of the things that appeals. I think karaoke is so appealing is that depending on your host and depending on the location, you can find something to fit everybody's crowd, if that makes sense. Because some people want to get up and get up and dress up and hit the stage, and they want the really cool lights and everything because that's what they want. But then there are other people who just kind of want to have a nice beer, low key, get up, hang with friends. I think that's what the one thing about it. You can not find a family, but you can find your crowd at a karaoke.
Oh, I think karaoke is very much family for a lot of people.
It is.
When we lose somebody, it happens. Sometimes we've had parts of our family, get 86 from a bar for doing something stupid, or they pass on or whatever. And boy, I'll tell you, everybody feels it. And we lost a number of people through COVID. We lost Smitty, Queen of Karaoke. She didn't die of COVID, but it was during basically right after all that hiatus, and I never did get to see her again. So Well, I guess what I was saying didn't come out the right way, but because you're 100% right. A lot of my friends and family are people that I have met through singing karaoke, which sounds kind of dorky, I guess, because. Well, that's how we met.
It is. Yeah. You know what? It actually is.
Back when I was forced to have that stupid British accent, and they all thought you and I were brothers. I'm like, I'm not sure if it's a compliment or not.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure either.
We are in spirit, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it is. It was a friendship, I think, that I didn't really know. How do I say this correctly without offending somebody? But it wasn't a friendship that I thought was going to go anywhere, because we did click, and then we had an interesting party that was getting frustrated that we did, and so.
Well, as many of the people in this industry who have gone into competitions, which is another story in and of itself, knows how frustrating that can be. And having been in the top three of that organization, I know how frustrating it is for everybody. So, I think without some conflict in situations like that, you're not going to move forward. You have to. Otherwise, it's always just yes, no, because that's not how competitions work.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, we had a good time. I'm glad we don't do it anymore. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, competitions are, they, it's weird because I always tell people, because one of the things I enjoy doing is I do vocal coach a little bit, and a lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to do this contest. Can you get me, can you help me win? Well, the first thing I always tell them is, I can't guarantee anything. I can give you tools. I can help you be the best you can be, that kind of thing. Right. But I won't guarantee you, because that's not fair to you. I don't, because judging at the end of the day is subjective. But I know that competitions, if you don't go in them for the right reason, can devastate you or devastate relationships with people, because
that's very correct. Yeah. And one of the reasons why my business decided not to do competitions anymore, because it was bad for business. The worst thing you want to do as an owner of an entertainment company is to tell your customers how terrible they are.
Right.
Not a good business model.
Right. Yeah. Unless that's your thing,
Right.
But it is because I have unfortunately I have a lot of friends that are in different competitions.
Right.
There's so many now, and I'm not saying one's better than the other or one's worse than the other, but it's really, I always tell people who go into a contest or a competition, don't go in it just to win.
Right. And you have to be very thick-skinned.
Exactly. If you are putting all your eggs in your basket because you expect to win, you may get disappointed. And it doesn't matter if the person's amazing or not. But but I've seen people go in there and they feel like it's their time to win, and they won't take no for an answer. Right. And what do you do? And I tell them, well, number one, it's just one contest. It's one of hundreds that you can find.
Right.
A contest is never going to define you. It's not going to make you who you are. It means that, anywhere from 3 to 7 people who all have their own objectivity to what is good are going to make a determination based on one song.
Right.
You don't.
And sometimes people are a one-hit wonder, and then they don't understand why they weren't loved on the second and third song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that from hosting karaoke. Everybody's got one song in them, pretty much.
Right.
But
and as a host, it always feels that way because you're expected to sing, and I've got about 100 songs I can sing off the fly, and I sing them all, but it always seems like I'm just singing the same crap over and over again.
Yeah.
But I'm not really.
Right. Yeah. So
anyway.
So my question to you is, what is your next? Where is your? Because you have a record label called Rupert Records.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is Jimi's next 3 years looking like? Either as a record label, a business owner, karaoke host. Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 3 years?
Well, I'm clearly going to keep the karaoke end of the business alive for as long as I can. We only do permanent installs, so we don't lug gear around with us. So I do an install, and then we just show up and we do the show. And that's the only way we do karaoke anymore, because I'm too old to be dragging crap around. But that's always probably going to be a thing. Even when I decide not to do it anymore, I'll still have people that do it for me. And then as far as recording studio, where I'd like to see Seattle Sound Productions go will be more of a focus on Rupert Records. And I want to get together at some point with a distributor down the line so that we can actually be a real record label. We're only a record label at this point in terms of that we do sometimes have space for artists to come in, and we pay for everything. It's all pro gratis. But that's as far as that goes. We don't do any distributing or anything like that. That's all on them, on the artist. So, and you're sort of in that situation, minus pro gratis, but we do a lot of that. I mean, and usually only have room for one artist at a time.
So who are you working with now? Who are you working with on your label that is, quote, an artist on your label?
Currently, I only have one artist on the label, and we haven't done anything in a very long time. Christina Kronk is actually the first person we brought in.
Okay.
But we don't get a lot of work done these days just because the studio's been so busy. I'm booked out to the end of the year, which never happens in the wintertime. So I'm blessed that that's happening this year because the price of everything's gone up, so it's a good supplemental income to help me make ends meet. None of what I do, unfortunately, is cheap. To be in sound engineering of any kind, be in a business like that, it gets expensive, especially when you buy, good gear. So you just hope and pray that you can get that equipment to work and make it pay for itself. So that's kind of where I'm at now as far as, I've got a house full of equipment because we're still trying to get 2 more karaoke venues on. It's tough right now. So, and plus we are moving the Sandbar here in the next few weeks, I guess. So that's going to be a new venue, old venue. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a big
I
place.
mean,
It's nice.
You definitely have beat the odds as far as, I like I said, I'm one of them that lost a business when COVID hit, and I'm not sure if I'll even go back to it, because all 3 of the places that we had contracts with, because we actually had we had 5 shows at 3 venues, so we were okay, and but none of them are interested in going back. They're all very, very tentative, and and it's kind of a shame, but I can't stop and build a monument to it. I have to figure out what to do with it and where I want to go with it and that kind of thing. But I'm glad because from the whole time I've known you, that was such an important part of who you were. And I can't imagine, I know this sounds terrible. This isn't a bad insult by any means, but I can't imagine you not hosting because you are so good at it. You just have a really laid back and natural, make everybody feel comfortable kind of thing. And then, you're all about the product of, making their 4 minutes sound the best, look the best. So,
well, trust me, I'm not retiring anytime soon, but I don't plan on being a 70-year-old karaoke host. Let's put it that way.
Aww.
So I got at least another 12 or 13 years in me. So
I know coming up. So
I know, right? Yeah.
Right.
As long as my health maintains itself, then I'll keep doing it.
Well, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to play another one of the songs, and that'll give you a chance to get more coffee, i.e. cigarette, if you need one.
Okay. I don't smoke, Michael. Yes.
I never said that. Oh, okay.
Right.
Here we go. This is My Greatest Gift Is You. This is an original song that I wrote, and I hope you guys like it. It's was written about in 2002, and there's been a couple iterations of it, but this is the version that I've wanted to record that I was able to do courtesy of the incredible Seattle Sound Productions. This is My Greatest Gift Is You. Gifts under Christmas are all around, wanting you near, missing your touch. Can't believe that I'm hurting this much. Then the memories come, times we spend together, you and I. They blank in my mind. So stop, take away the lights, the songs. This much is true. The joy of the season is knowing my greatest gift is a and I may be gone. Distance is cruel. It's not fair that we're apart. I know that you're sad too, but we'll be together. My vow is true. I plan each and every day on how to be with you. Then the memories come, times we spend together, you and I. They're playing in my mind. So strong, take away the lights, the songs. This much is true. The joy of the season is knowing my greatest gift is a And then the memories come, times we spent together, you and I. They're playing in my mind. So some take away the lights, the songs. This much is true. The joy this season is knowing. The joy this season is knowing. The joy this season is a you. The joy this season is knowing my greatest gift is That was yours truly. Yay!
Nice job. Great song.
It makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Somebody said, oh my God, you sound like 90s R&B.
Yeah, well, the arrangement is very much 90s, yeah. That classic 90s electric piano sound. Yeah.
It was. Well, I wrote that song in right after. I think it was right after 9/11, honestly. And
wow.
I had and I think I had written it. I was writing it. I had written it obviously in December after 9/11, but I was living in Las Vegas, and many people don't know this. I have 2 sons, and I was because I was living in Vegas. My sons were in Washington State, and seeing them was very, very, very difficult. And I won't get into that because that's an entirely different show. But I kind of wrote that song as a gift for them and
that's great.
It has sat in my drawer forever, and I was very fortunate to have a friend that when I put the song together was able to play it for me. And so he laid the piano work down. I had written everything and said, this is what I want, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, kind of what you did in the studio, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And but I've tried to release that song several times, and I've always kind of had other people's idea of what they wanted the song to sound like, or they made suggestions, and I'm like, that's not what I want. They wanted it a little bit sweeter and a little bit lighter, and I'm like, that's not what the song's about. This is a song about someone that's really missing someone, and it's
mm-hmm.
more passionate than, a holiday song where everybody's hugging each other.
Right.
I wanted that kind of feel of hurt and, frustration that they're not together.
Right.
So finally, after literally 20 years I finally got to make the version that I really feel the best about. So again,
right.
That's credit to you. So, yeah.
Well, that's as a songwriter myself, who hasn't really written much of anything the last 20 years, but I learned a long time ago as a songwriter, it's not something you can force. And sometimes you do something and it does. It sits in a drawer or on a shelf for a long time until its time comes. And that's always how I've had to look at it. And I don't, like I say, I think the last song I wrote was during COVID, and it was about COVID, in fact, because I was bored. But it's something that all artists struggle with, I think, to a degree. Some people are able to just sit down and write and write and write and write and seem to never stop. I'm not one of those. And which makes my job as a producer and a recording engineer extra special, because when I'm not in the mood to do it, I get to do it for other people and make their vision come alive. And that's really why I love doing this. I mean, I've said to myself many times over the last few years, God, I love doing this so much. If I could do it full time, I would. But
okay,
not everybody can afford to go into the studio. By the way, we're fairly cheap, folks. So
yeah, it's you're not you're not there trying to get rich or bankrupt someone or make it out of reach, because unfortunately, like you said, even though it's expensive for you, it's also expensive for everybody else as far as just the day-to-day stuff. And
it can be, yeah, especially when people if you're not prepared when you come into the studio, get ready to get a bill that you're not going to like. And you know that. I've had a few that just didn't know what to expect. And, you know, I do try to work with people when that happens, but sometimes you just have to say, all right, you're not ready for this. Go home, write your songs. I'm not here to write the song with you.
Right.
Because, you know, it costs you money for me to sit here and watch you think. So don't do that.
Yes. I think a lot of people don't realize how quick the time goes. You know, they're like, I'm just going to walk in the studio and lay down vocals on 2 or 3 tracks and I'll be good. Well,
it never turns out that way.
It never turns out that way, you know. And the only person I think that ever worked for, and it's a true story, was they evidently woke Celine Dion up at 1:00 in the morning to lay down a vocal, because it had to be done, to lay down a vocal on the Titanic movie, and she didn't know anything about it. She heard the track. She ran it through her head. She laid down the vocal once.
Oh, my God.
After hearing it. She literally, the version of My Heart Will Go On that is on the Titanic soundtrack is a little different than the pop release. Not much, but a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the one she did for the Titanic soundtrack, one take.
Wow.
And she's like, that's all I've got. That's all I can do. And they're like, okay, well, that's cool. And we'll work with it. We just needed it. And James Horner heard it and said, there's nothing else she can do. It's perfect. There's enough angst and sadness and, you know, that she captured everything. So it can happen in one take. I've never been one of them.
It can. Not me either. You know, and here's the thing, as we discussed when you were in the studio, you know, engineers these days are capable of doing a lot to fix vocals. As long as the emotion and the dynamics, you know, are carried through in the dynamics of the vocal recording, almost anything can be fixed. You know, I've had people come in and they didn't like where they put a certain word. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have come in a little earlier. I'm like, okay, click. Okay, you came in earlier. How did you do that? You know. Yeah. So it's technology is amazing. I mean, we couldn't do these things back in the 90s.
No.
You know, and you know all that equipment. God, our first recording studio, we had 4 ADATs and 2 boards, and you know a truckload of processing gear. And the room that housed just that gear was bigger than my entire studio is right now. So it's amazing what you can fit in a computer, you know.
Yeah, and it's so weird.
A lot more for a lot less. Yeah.
Right, because people's images of, you know, studio is this big booth and you know, and all these reel-to-reels and everything, and now it's all done with expensive programs and patches, and one of the funnest things I'll never. It's a funny memory, and for those that don't know, I tend to have a kind of a bigger voice.
No comment.
And yeah, right. And so we were doing. I can't remember which song it was that I was laying the vocals on. You made one comment.
The first one. I told you you had to go downstairs to sing the track,
yeah,
and then leave the microphone at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, that made me laugh, and I knew I was at the right place because it was just, it just felt good. But yeah,
You did finally rein it in.
Yeah.
You have to.
I mean, I paid a lot of money to learn how to project.
Yeah. But, not all microphones can handle, 150 decibel impact, Not very many can.
No, they really can't.
Right.
And no, but we got what we needed out of that booth. It worked.
Oh yeah,
it really worked. And so all right. So up next for you, quickly, you said, do you know when you're going to be opening the new karaoke location?
No. As
okay.
anybody who's ever been in the bar business, they know opening a venue of any kind is really kind of a shot in the dark. You never know what kind of holdups you're going to have, and I'll tell you, this is a place where if something can fail, it will is generally the rule of thumb, because pretty much everything that can go wrong has gone wrong so far. I mean, it's just a matter of once the dust clears, you'll know you're finished and you're ready to open, and nobody knows when that dust is gonna settle. I can probably safely say it'll be by January. So, and don't quote me on that, but the word in the air is that's probably when we're going to be.
Yeah, because what you originally plan and your original intent doesn't not always work out, because you never know what life is going to throw at you at the last minute and everything. But
it's always something.
Yeah. So anyway, I haven't once given out the phone number. Nobody could call, or I felt so terrible. But I just had so much fun talking to you. I just okay.
Yeah, you too.
Kind of a talk show. But if anybody wants to call in really quick, it's 347-308-8747. That is 347-308-8747. If you wanted to say something to Jimi, or ask Jimi a question, or talk about what he does or what he has done. And I know that I'm going to be back in the studio working with you, because my label needs a song for me the first quarter of 2023, and I'm petrified. So
you better get on it.
I know. I'm literally debating different kind of songs. I obviously that's going to be an original, and it's going to be one of my own, but when you start doing that, I'm so insecure at songwriting, because I always feel like everybody's so much better at writing a song than I am, that you're at your most vulnerable.
You have an up on a lot of people, and that is, you do have some music theory behind you, and you can play an instrument. It's a lot easier to write a song when you can at least sit down with a guitar or piano and just hammer something out. So
yeah. I agree.
When all you've got is a voice in your head, it gets very difficult. So
it is, unless they find someone like you that can literally build a track around a vocal. Right. That is that I will forever be blown away. Jimi, I want to thank you so much for being a guest today. You were amazing.
And as were you.
Feel good. Once again, why don't you tell everybody how to reach out, how to get a hold of you if they are either interested in, obviously I want to promote your karaoke business, but more importantly, if they're interested in booking some studio time with you, sitting down, making that happen, how do they get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is through email at flahertyjames@comcast.net. That's FLAHERTYJAMES @comcast.net. You can contact me on Facebook for Jimi Flaherty. That's JIMI and my last name. And my phone number is 253-392-5572.
Do you have a Facebook business page?
Yeah, it's Epic Karaoke and Seattle Sound Productions.
Okay,
I don't
good.
visit them nearly enough, but you can always message me through there. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
Seattle Sound Productions, yeah. It says
I encourage anybody that's within an hour and a half driving. He's worth the trip to the studio, and the stuff that he does is absolutely amazing. I'm obviously way better off than I ever thought I would be, and I can't wait to work with you again. I sincerely mean that. And but anyway, I want to thank you so much for being a guest. I was hoping somebody would at least call and say hi, but like I said, I get so involved in the interview process, I forget that people are actually listening, and I'm just kind of interviewing. So that's just kind of what I do.
Right.
And you gave so much great information, and I really hope that people reach out to you. This,
well, you asked the
of
right
course,
questions.
will be. Huh?
I said you asked the right questions.
Well, one would try. One does try. So, anyway, sir, I'm going to close with my last song that we did, but I want to thank you so much for being an amazing guest. I'm definitely going to be bringing you on, especially since we're going to be working together, to make the next pop song or whatever that I'm doing, a reality. So, but everybody, this is Jimi Flaherty. Check out Seattle Sound Productions or Epic Karaoke. You'll be able to touch bases with him. Go check him out. If you're sitting on a song and you just want to get it done, and see, this is the man that will sit down and listen to you and come up with a plan to make it happen. He's really that good. Thank you so much, sir. We are out of here. Here is.
All right.
Bye-bye, sir. Here is my last song. This is a cover of a favorite of mine. It is a contemporary song. I did one original song, one traditional song, and one cover of a contemporary song, and I love the words and this song. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for listening to me. Once again, thank you, World Movement Records, World Movement Entertainment, and I Am Indie for letting me do this. This has been a blast, and I look forward to many, many more shows and many great guests. Here is Mary Did You Know?
Save our sons and daughters. Did you know?